thank you for joining us here as the NAACP representatives and the community. We've come today because we feel like it is important that the NAACP, along with other members, concerned members of the community, speak truth to power. Let us say that we are excited that at last Lady Justice is truly blind, and at last a person that has committed an atrocity who wears blue has been indicted. We understand that through the last evening that there was a magistrate that failed to pass the indictment even after the DA had asked. But we are thankful that General Sessions Judge Michael Mondale signed off on the case, reversing a move from the magistrate earlier Thursday who denied the charge. We understand that it's real rare for a magistrate to decide that they are not going to sign off once the evidence has been presented to them. But we are determined, we said it before, and we are determined that we must put a stop to young black men being shot in the back. We must come together as a community and stand for those things, for human rights, civil rights, social justice, and for life. I am joined here today by Jacquees Clemens' family, who didn't get the kind of results that we're beginning to get from Hambrick. But what I'm saying, that 2 cases in 18 months is way too much. And that's why we're asking the community to call your council person, to call your state representative, to call your mayor, to call whoever represents you, to let them know that we are concerned about this case and all other cases where there's mistreatment and a miscarriage of justice. We also want to encourage everybody that's listening to support the Community Oversight Board drive to make sure we understand that police can't police each other. So we need a Community Oversight Board to make sure that when something happens, that there is an unbiased group there that can look at the data and to make sure that justice is served. And then the last thing we want to call for, we want you to get out to vote. If you think your vote doesn't count, the reason we've got people that are standing on this is because they know that there are some voting folks in Nashville, Tennessee, across Tennessee, and across this nation. Thank you. At this time, we'll take questions.
Right now, the Fraternal Order of Police is actively fighting the referendum, the community oversight referendum, vowing to take this all the way to the Tennessee Supreme Court. In fact, they've filed a motion to have them hear that case directly, saying that they don't think that it should be on this November's ballot. What does today's decision sort of reinforce or mean in light of that legal challenge with that referendum being on the ballot?
It says to us that we need that Community Oversight Board now more than ever. It says to us, when the evidence shows that every shot that hit this young man was shot at a fleeing person, it says to me for sure that we need somebody other than the Fraternal Order of Police looking at the data.
At a press conference today with the FOP, they say that they believe this was the first time a Nashville police officer has been charged with murder. Your reaction to that?
It sure shouldn't have been the first time. In the Jacquees Clemens case, we should have at least done that. In every case, if it had been investigated, we do believe that we would have had some different kind of results. But the community must be involved, and that's the key. If we go home and sit silent, nothing will happen. But if we stand in the streets and stand and speak truth to power, we know that things will make a change.
Well, that was not true. There has been an officer charged and think fined $10 for killing a young man many years ago, and they planted a knife on him, but he was found guilty and fined $10. So if your research,
The officer was $25,000. Do you think that bond fits the crime he was charged with?
Definitely not. He is charged with murder, with criminal homicide. And most folks that look like you and me, they don't get they don't get to have a nice, easy bond like that. So we definitely think the bond was way too low.
Have you spoken to Daniel Hambrick's family today?
We have spoken to them today. Let me ask the media if you would, because I know you've been swarming all over them. This family is still going through a lot of stress, a lot of grief. I've had a family member that was killed. It is not an easy thing. Would you please respect their privacy? When she's feeling better, maybe tomorrow, maybe later in the week, they'll come forward and do a press conference. But we are asking if you would respect their privacy.
Did they relate anything to you today that you'd like to pass along?
No, I cannot say that they did. They were, of course, very elated that at least the process was beginning to move in the right direction.
And Sheila, I wonder, we heard a little bit from Ms. Sweetlove here, but why was it important for you personally to be here at this announcement today?
As I have stated several different times, Jacquees and Daniel are one. And justice for him is justice for Jacquees. This is just a small piece of justice. The real justice is going to be when Delke is convicted.
Thank you.
One of the groups from Black Lives Matter Nashville actually sent out a statement earlier today saying that true justice would not be with a conviction, that true justice would be if Daniel Hambrick was still alive today.
We agree with that, but Daniel cannot come back. He won't be back until Judgment Day. So on this side, we'd like to see a conviction.
How do you think the Justice for Jacquees coalition played a role with getting the TBI to investigate, as opposed to Metro Nashville Police played a role in the outcome that we saw today?
Through Jacquees' death, things changed with the TBI because MENPD had a chance to mess around with the videos and everything to where the TBI has now, it's a law that they have to be on the scene within 30 minutes. So it doesn't give MENPD a chance to mess anything up.
This is sort of a bigger picture question, but where do you think we are as a community today versus 1 year ago or 2 years ago, just with everything that you're standing up and fighting for?
I think we are definitely moving ahead because there are some people that are beginning to come on the side of the community oversight and beginning to call us up and say we can now see the reason that some months ago clearly could not see a reason why there needed to be a community oversight board. But I believe anywhere there are police and anywhere they have to have interaction with the community, there needs to be an independent body that oversees any complaints. It is very difficult for us to police ourselves. As citizens, if we can't do it, we definitely know that the men in blue, men and women in blue, are unable to do that also.
I think we have an oversight committee here. Would you mind commenting on, you spoke of accountability earlier. Talk about that.
Sure. Well, The Community Oversight Now Coalition is encouraged that there has been a charge. We do believe accountability matters, and we commend General Funk for bringing charges as they should have been brought.
Other questions?
Could you walk us through, this morning there was kind of a flurry of different developments at the courts. You mentioned the magistrate. I mean, a little bit of a roller coaster maybe. Can you walk us through your thoughts or feelings as this kind of unraveled this morning?
I think you said it well when you said it was a roller coaster, because from what we were hearing last night to yes, the DA has brought the charges, and now the judge refused to sign off, and of course that leaves a strange feeling in the bottom of my stomach to think that we almost had an indictment. But as the day moved forward, and one of the things we've got to remember that as citizens and as taxpayers, the people in public office work for us. And so we've got to hold them accountable. And I think I feel good about the DA for pushing to go on and make sure that until we got somebody that was willing to sign off on it. We'll say again, we are hearing judges and other people in the district attorney's office said almost it's unheard of that after the charges are brought that you'll have a magistrate refuse to sign off. So this was unheard of. So, I do believe that had we not been vigilant, had we not been on the forefront, had we not been standing up, had we just gone home after the funeral and say, "Oh, all is well," I don't think this would have happened. But I think Nashville and everybody around can see this is a united front. We will not go away. You see Ms. Clemens standing here with us today. We're going to stand until this is all over. And what we have to continue to pray and be vigilant about is that 18 months from now, we're not repeating what we see.
That's right.
It's time out for us to keep, I don't want you to keep on playing target with young black boys' lives.
One of the statements in the affidavit that was released today said that Daniel Hambrick did have a gun in his hand. Officer Delke's attorney, speaking out today, said that he was, quote, following the law and his training because Hambrick presented a threat to the community. What's your reaction to that?
I believe that is an untruth. Anytime a person is running from you, there is no way that they can be trying to do you harm. Reverend Love, would you please come on over? I know they're going to want clergy to talk a minute. It is very unlikely that a person running from you can do you any harm. And so, of course, he's a defense attorney. I'd be saying the same thing in defense of my client. But we know that the facts are shown that he was running away. The other thing we got to push for and make sure that Metro Nashville go on and enforce the body cams. They need to be every officer out there. You should not be on duty unless you got a body cam. And it's operating.
And that affidavit also mentioned that he wasn't even sure if that was the same white sedan he was looking for earlier, and that the task force that he's assigned to get traffic stops. So we know that's what he was after, and that's what they are trained to do. That shows that we need the Community Oversight Board because we can issue policy recommendations with issues such as that.
On the topic of body cams as well, it's been reported that the city has given estimates that it would cost millions more. It would require the hiring of a lot of other individuals to be able to run the system. Those are very high numbers. What's your response to that? My response
of whatever it costs, is it worth a young black boy's life? And I think we have to ask that seriously. And I think if you aren't black or brown, you have to ask seriously if it's my child, because you really don't know when it might be your child, or your cousin, or your nephew, or your brother. And that's what we want to bring the conscience of America to be, to understand when you kill a young black boy, you are killing another citizen in this country. And you are making it more difficult for us to live together as one. And you put that family in a situation where of no return, because they can never be with that family member again on this side.
And one more thing, you cannot measure a life compared to dollars.
Right.
We just spent $400 million for a soccer stadium. We now have to give $400 million to the Titans for a new stadium. We're talking about $150 million to the Predators for upgrades to their stadium. You cannot bring in dollars when you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars for things that are recreational instead of spending the money to take care of your citizens. That is an issue of priority of spending the dollars that the taxpayers have put forth, that the mayor and the council have said these body cams should be in place and should be used. The fact that the chief refuses to use them is not just insubordination, it's negligence.
Well, that's another question there that this has been asked before. Does Chief Anderson need to step down?
We definitely think so.
Yes. Yes.
That's a resounding yes from this group.
And it's also a systemic issue as well.
You want to talk about it? Okay. Yeah, we are concerned because anytime when public servants get to the point where they feel like they are no longer accountable to the public, it is time to retire, to step down, to change career paths, any of those things that you desire. But when you are no longer trusted by the community, when you no longer have the credibility of the community that you need to consider if it's time.
Have you had any conversations with police chief, high-ranking officials of the police, or the mayor's office, the DA's office recently? Are there any plans for anything like that?
We have not done that recently. We had done that and tried to do that with the Jacques Clemens that incident. We have not done that recently. We are really focused on making sure that we get the Community Oversight Board in place and making sure that we get folks out to vote. Because if we get enough folks out to vote, I grant you we can change some minds.
Man.
One more question. Why
Yeah.
do you think that the magistrate didn't sign off?
Well, look at his background. Maybe he was.
That's right.
Yeah,
Look at his background.
you have to look at the background.
Look at his affiliation.
Yeah, look at his background and his affiliations.
The politics involved.
Yes, and we believe that was the reason he did not sign off. Like we said, we talk to people that have been there and in the know forever, and they can't even think of when this happened the last time. So this is not something that happens on a day-to-day basis. But, when you've got people in place that have other affiliations and they feel like they don't want to jeopardize them, and maybe that was his reason. We don't know, whatever the reason was. We are just glad that the DA was consistent and persistent and pushed forward until he got a judge to sign off. At this time, I'm going to ask that the Reverend Harold Love, Representative Love, would come and say a few words.
Thank you. Just wanted to emphasize, as President Sweetlover said, that we have to get to a place where police no longer police our communities this way. You should not be pursued if you've not committed a crime. You should not be followed if you have not committed a crime. And then you should not be aimed at and shot and killed if you have not the evidence to say that someone is endangering someone's life. So we want to emphasize, again, support for the DA. And thank him for what he has done in being persistent and not allowing one person who would not sign off on this warrant to stop him from pursuing justice. All right.
Gloria,
Yes.
just one other question. You mentioned the background and affiliations
Yes.
of this magistrate. Can you be a little more specific about what you're referring to?
Well, I think it's all out there. Everybody knows. Everybody knows his family affiliations and know how people make their money and how they are affiliated with certain things. So we aren't trying to accuse anybody of everything. What we're saying is a matter of public record that his affiliations are probably the reason. We can't say what the reasons were. Maybe he was having a bad night. Maybe he hadn't had enough coffee. But whatever the reasons were, and he chose not to sign off. We just appreciate the DA being vigilant, as Representative Love say, and pushing forward until they got somebody to sign off on that. Again, thank you all. We appreciate it. We're going to be vigilant. We're gonna stay on the post. Thank you all.